like, I don't know, if I found some great information like data, I could about like how many people make money off of YouTube and who have never gone to college, right? There's a bunch of primary source data I could say use, and I could say, okay, we used to think college was necessary for success. Here's this whole other industry that exists where people who've never gone to college are making money and surviving in the world. So, yeah, you want the information from your primary source, whatever it is, to help you or to be an example of the change. Comparison. Well, okay. You're definitely using them in assignment 3, comparing them to the primary source. Um, so that's the main thing. I are you asking? Are you going to use them in this next essay? Because I'm just saying you're basically for assignment 3, you want to just say, okay, here's my primary source, and you're going to talk about it in relation to what you've already said, what you've already talked about as far as those past articles go. The whole point, the theory is, this is the theory, is that when you do this process, what you start to get a sense of is um, ideas for what you might, the direction you might go for the research paper. Okay, so we're sort of cheating this English thing because we sort of know where we're going in the sense that we're talking already about the changing narrative. So I don't know that this is something that will, it may help you do that, but what I'm saying is this is the part where you would do this comparison between your primary source and the sources you've already used, and you'd say to yourself, you know what would be a great thing to do would be to research how the narrative has changed. And so then you would have a direction. But we already did that. So we sort of already know what we're doing. So what I think the best way to use this is, sure, compare it to, find, a source that it connects with that you've already dealt with, and that you may use again in this upcoming essay, depending on what it says, right? And then find one where it doesn't really connect, explain why it doesn't connect, like this person's more interested in something and this one's not, whatever. And then the idea is you're trying to basically figure out how your primary source is going to help you talk about change. It's only going to help you with one aspect of the change, right? Because change is a big deal. So you're supposed to be saying, okay, the narrative has changed in a few different ways. Your primary source is going to help you talk about one aspect, right? So if you interviewed somebody, if you were doing like nursing and you interviewed somebody who has been a nurse for like 30 years, and you made good questions and you had them talk about how things used to be when they first started and how they are now, whatever, stuff like that. You could use that information and that would help you talk about the change, but specifically just, this person's experience or whatever. Anyway, that would be a good idea. So 3 is just compare your primary source to something that you wrote already. What does it make you think about? How does it fit? How does it not fit? Right. Sorry, I jumped the gun a little bit. So number 4. So basically, you're like, here's what my primary source does, how it connects to one of my articles. Here's how it doesn't. Like, here's in what way it sort of contradicts or goes against one of my articles. And then number 4 is actually what you're supposed to be reflecting on. You're supposed to say, oh, okay, so now I understand that my primary source will help me talk about change. This is where they want you to write your tentative thesis statement. And like I said, we've already sort of cheated on this part, meaning our thesis statement is about the change, right? We basically need to come up with a statement that's like, here's what's happened. It has changed in these 3 main ways or 3 main areas or however. But for this one, it's like, all right, just come up, make up some idea of like, all right, the primary source helps me think about how it's going to change or how it is changing. I don't know. So that part we sort of already did, I think, for us. But yeah, ultimately, the paradigm theory will be part of this upcoming essay. I'm just going to show you something here. Basically, it's not, but it's not going to be too. Hopefully, I think this will make the most sense of them all, in the sense that what you're doing is saying there used to be this narrative, it's starting to change, and we're using the narrative paradigm to look at it. That's how we know about it. So it gives you the ability to talk about it like in plot and in character and in setting terms. I'm trying to find my source. I like